Hello, on this video I'm going to talk about C++ encapsulation, and for that I'm going to open Visual Studio and I'm going to create a C++ project. So the first thing to do, I'm going to right click on sources, add a class, and I'm going to name this class the fruit class. Click OK. And now I have a fruits.cpp and a fruits.h file. I'm going to click on the fruits.h, and right here on the fruit.h, I always like to create all the access specifier. So the first one is private and the second one is public. There is also the protected. I'm going to put it right here, but I'm not going to use the protected access specifier for this video, but I'm going to leave there anyway. So let's say on the public, I am going to have a public member of a string caller. So this is a public member. That means I can access from any class or any function. So I'm going to go to my main program, include the header for the fruits, and now I can create a object type fruits. So fruit, my fruits equals new fruit. So if I want to access the color variable from the fruit class, I can use the myFruits object. So I want to set the color. So myFruits, then I can just click on color and then give it a value. I'm going to give it a value red. So I set the color, and if I want to get the color, I can use the same thing. So I can declare variable and then set it to my fruit color, and then I get the color stored on the string, and then I can just display this thing, and then it finally displays the color for me. So I'm gonna run this program, and then I get red right here. So this is one way to do it. However, I recommend you not to do this. Any variable that you have on your class, make it private, not public. So everything you put on public means any file, any function can read and write to it. If you put on the private area, now only the functions from the fruit class can read this variable. And if you put on the protected, it cannot be accessed outside the class, but it can be accessed to whatever class inherits this class right here. I'll talk more about protected on the next video. Once you have the string color here as private, it breaks this code here. So now this entire code is broken because the color now is private and it is inaccessible to any function outside the class. The main function is not a fruit function. So because of that, it cannot access. To fix this, we need to create what's called the getters and setters function for the fruit class that will control the color variable. So right here in the public, I'm going to put a function called voids set color, and then I'm going to pass a string as a parameter, and this function will be used to set the color. So I'm going to hover over, show potential fixes, and then create the definition of set color in fruits. Visual Studio creates this for me, and now I can first give it a name to the string that you receive. So I'm going to put string C as in color. I'm going to put here color equals C. Now I can do this because remember, the set color is a member of the fruit class. Because of that, this function can see the color even though it's private. However, the function setColor is public. That means from the main program, you can use the object and then set the color using the function. So here I'm gonna pass the color red again. So this is how you access using encapsulation. In other words, you're not accessing the member variable directly. You're using a function to do that. And for the getter, it's the same thing. However, for the getter, you want to retrieve a string. So in this case, I'm going to put here string, because it will return a string, and then the name of the function is going to be getColor. And because it receives nothing as a parameter, so nothing here. So this is to set the color, this is to get the color. And I'm going to hover over, show potential fixes, create a definition, and then creates the function for me. And then in this case here, it's returning a string. I'm going to change the string to color. So now these two functions right here, together with making the variable private, is what we call encapsulation. And that is encapsulation because we're hiding what the value and the name of the variable is. So now from the main program, this is how you set. And to get the value, I'm going to create the string str, and then I'm going to set to my fruit getColor. And then finally, I can see out the str, and this will do exactly the same code that it happened before. So here prints red. So this code here does the same thing as this code here. The only difference is that on this one here, the variable must be public, and this way here, the variable can be public or private. However, it makes no sense to have the variable public right here. So have the variable private and do the encapsulation all the time. That is a much more elegant way to write code. Before the video ends, let me say just one thing here. I like to use the word this every time I'm referring to a variable from this class. So color here in this case is a variable from the fruit class. Because of that, I always liked to put the word this to indicate color belongs to this class. And the same thing here on returning, I always like to do that. For me, it feels like it's more readable. It feels like it's easier to understand. Now, one advantage of doing this is just in case, if you want to call this guy here the same name as you call your class variable, C++ is not going to get confused because it knows that this color here is from this class, and it knows that this other color here is not from this class, from the fruit class. So even though it's exactly the same spelling, and if you can tell, this is a little gray and this is a little darker, so it knows the difference. So I always like to put the word this here to make it easier to understand what the code is referring to. So I'm gonna run the program one more time, and there it is. You have the word red right here. All right, so that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.